So, this is lecture 14. We were discussing well stirred reactor, and this is abbreviated as WSR, and it is also called PSR, perfectly stirred reactor, and it also goes by the name of Longwell reactor, because Longwell is one person who spoke about it and designed a reactor like this. So, this is also a Longwell reactor. Now, remember what we said yesterday. So, there is m dot coming in, y I coming in, h I coming in, and m dot going out, y I going out, h I going out, and inside we have this control volume which we are trying to analyze. So, here we have y I, temperature, pressure, things like that. And what I said yesterday is that the concentrations, temperatures, everything is the same everywhere. That is because it is mixed so well because of stirring that all these things become uniform. So, the rate of reaction is also same at different places. So, I said that if you are sending reactants, they will get converted to products, and the extent to which they get converted to products will be the same everywhere. So, the species profiles, concentration profiles which you get at any place here and the temperature that you get any place here will be the same as what is going out. So, what is inside the control volume, the same is also going out, the same characteristics are also going out. And unlike the constant pressure reactor and the constant volume reactor which I spoke of, in this case there is no time dependence, in the sense that we are not solving the transient problem. In the constant volume reactor, constant pressure reactor, things were changing with respect to time. We are not analyzing a steady state, because this was not that those two problems were not like steady state problems, because things kept changing as a function of time. But here, if we consider the steady flow of these reactants and conditions having stabilized, then you are just sending reactants, something is happening here, you are getting products and some other temperature, that is what is going out. So, we are looking at a steady situation. And what are we interested in? Primarily we are interested in knowing the temperature that we are getting at the outlet, and the enthalpies of the individual species and the mass fractions of individual species going out. So, we understand that to do all this we will need equations, and we started with one equation yesterday. So, I wrote this energy equation, and we realized yesterday that this energy equation does not look similar as the energy equation written for the constant pressure reactor or the constant volume reactor, because for those situations we wrote the energy equation for a fixed mass closed system, whereas now we are going to write the energy equation for a well stirred reactor where there is mass coming in, there is mass going out. So, this is what we wrote yesterday. So, we wrote this. We understand that this is from steady situation consideration. So, this is a H out minus H in. Q dot is of course a heat transfer. Now, again we are interested in temperature. So, we have to see how temperature is hidden here. Now, H is an enthalpy, but is this per unit mass or per unit mole? Per unit mass, because I am not writing a bar. And is this for a specific species or is it for the mixture? This is for the mixture, because otherwise we would have written H I. Okay. So, to know what this is, we can say that this H is actually summation y I H I. So, the y I . are mass fractions. So, the yi's are mass fractions. Now, what is mass fraction? Mass fraction of course is the mass of the ith species divided by the mass of the mixture, the total mass. And I wrote this also, I believe, yesterday. Q dot is m dot times summation of I equal to 1 to n Okay, so this is y I out, that means the outlet stream. What is the mass fraction of the ith species? So, y I out is the mass fraction of the ith species in the outlet stream, that is multiplied by h I at T. Now, what is T? T is in fact outlet temperature, but that is the same as the temperature inside the control volume. So, this T and this T are the same because of reasons that I have already discussed. So, this is y I out into h I T minus summation of y I in h I at T in. So, that is coming from the inlet stream. The inlet stream temperature is T in. And why? How do we write h I? Okay, so, all this was h, this was also h, h for the inlet stream, h for the outlet stream, h for the inlet stream. Now, what is h I? H I again is the enthalpy of formation plus this T ref to T Cpi dt. That is a sensible enthalpy change. We wrote all this in the last class. So, in this form, in the form that you see here, we got an energy equation which has the temperatures implicitly through h I, but of course, temperature appears in directly in the sensible enthalpy term. So, if you write this here, then you get explicitly in terms of temperature, but also in terms of mass fractions. So, the energy equation has the mass fractions, it also has got the temperatures. Now, what else do we need? Remember that when we did that constant pressure reactor and when we did the constant volume reactor, we actually had to bring in the species equations also. So, species equations are also required because you would be interested in knowing what the y i's are in the outlet stream. So, how do we get the species equations? So, the species equation, looking at our control volume, we can write this as the species equation. Okay. So, if you look at the notations, if you look at the equation, how do you interpret this? What is d dt of m I C V? So, this term on the left hand side is the rate of change of mass of the ith species in the control volume. C V means control volume. Okay. Now, few more things. We got this one here, which is m dot I in, and this one is m dot I out. So, what are these? Rate at which mass is coming in and the rate at which mass is going out. Mass of what? Ith species. So, that is m dot I in minus m dot I out. Okay. So, that is easy to interpret. Where did I get this equation from? I must have got this equation based on some conservation, is not it? Okay. So, let us keep that in mind and let us look at this. We are trying to guess what these terms are by just looking at the notations. This V is a volume. So, what is this m dot I? This one is actually m dot I triple prime, this one. So, what do you think that is?
Rate of mass generation with chemical reaction.
Yes, of the ith species. So, rate of mass generation of the ith species, that is per unit time and per unit time and per unit volume. Okay. So, let us see this notation. This dot indicates that this is per unit time, and the 3 primes that you see, they indicate per unit volume. Each prime is for one length scale. Okay. So, this is per unit volume multiplied by volume. So, this gives you a mass generation rate, and this is mass coming in, this is mass going out. This must be equal to ddt of MICV. I think this should be clear. Okay. So, this is just an accounting process. It tells you that something is coming in from here, something is going out from here. So, m dot I in is coming in, m dot I out is going out, plus there is also generation. So, if you add all this, if you add the in minus out plus the generation, that should give you the rate of change of the mass of the ith species in the control volume. Okay. So, this is not very hard to see. We did not derive it as such, but this is something which you can easily derive. This we can easily do for an integral control volume. Okay. So, one thing we have to remember that we are writing it on the assumption that this m dot I triple prime is actually uniform. Here we have assumed that m dot I triple prime, that is the mass generation rate of the ith species, is uniform. Uniform in the sense that, again, like if you go from one place to another, you are going to see the same rate. Okay. Now, this m dot I triple prime can also be written as an omega dot I multiplied by a w I. So, let us see this. What is the unit of m dot I triple prime? Must be kg per meter cubed second. Okay, kg per meter cubed second. And what is the unit of Wi? What is Wi? Wi is the molecular weight of the ith species. So, what is the unit of that? Kg per kilomole. Okay. And what is omega dot I? Omega dot I is our friend from chemical kinetics. Same notation as we have been using for the other 2 reactors also. Okay. So, what is the unit of that?
Kilomole per meter cube per second.
Okay. So, the unit of this must be kilomole. Kilomole of what? Of the ith species. Okay. So, this is kilomole per meter cube second. So, you can see that the units are matching on the left hand side and the right hand side. So, this is kg per meter cubed second, kg per meter cube seconds on both sides. So, we are doing okay. So, that is this thing here. Now, we are also assuming steady state, right. So, if we assume steady state, then this can go to 0. We are interested in this well starred reactor when steady conditions have been achieved. So, that means we can write 0 here as omega dot I Wi plus m dot I in minus m dot I out. Yeah, so there should be a V also. This V is for volume, that is correct. Actually, what we will do is we will make a slight change in the notation. We will write this as the V, as the volume, V cross as the volume, so that you do not think of this as a velocity. So, this is V cross as the volume. So, this is energy equation. Again, how many of these? N. We were using small n or capital N yesterday. We were using capital N equations. So, we had an energy equation and we have these species equations. So, if you are able to solve all this, then we will be able to get the mass fractions and also we will be able to get the temperature. So, this is the species and energy. Wrote this before, but good to write that this here again, so that you can see energy and species together. So, we have to solve these. Now, is this going to be easy or difficult? Let us ask ourselves this question. Is it going to be complicated or is it going to be easy? So, in the species equation, do we have temperature? No temperature in species equation. And in the energy equation, do we have species? Yes. But the species equation also has temperature. Yes or no? I think you are saying that it does not have temperature.
It has, because the rate of reaction depends on the temperature.
Yeah. So, the omega dot I, which is there in the first equation, that is in the species equation, that has temperature. Okay. In fact, in a nonlinear fashion in the exponential term. So, that is a problem. And so, this species equation has temperature, and does the species equation have species mass fractions also? Somewhere here. Does it have species concentrations? I mean, does it have just this molecular weight, volume, just m dot I in, m dot I out, that is all? So, are the concentrations of individual species showing up somewhere in these terms?
Wi is basically concentration rate.
Omega dot I, you mean omega dot I, right? Omega, see there is a omega, there is a W. So, W is molecular weight, that is this one, and this omega dot I is the rate of reaction of the ith species. So, which one has the species concentration? Omega dot, because Wi is just a number. Okay. So, omega dot I has species concentrations. Actually, m dot I also has species concentrations. We do not understand m dot I so far, isn't it? Do we know much about m dot I? M dot I in general, when species enter, different species enter the reaction chamber, the well stirred reactor, then you are sending some mixture. So, you know the concentrations of individual species. We are thinking about the inlet. So, we know the concentrations of individual species going into the chamber, correct. So, we know the m dot I, that is the mass flow rate of the ith species when they are entering. But what about the mass flow rate of the species that are going out? How to write that? I mean that will be connected to the total mass flow rate and the individual concentrations of species, correct? Okay, but how exactly? We do not know that. We do not know that so far, but going back to the species equation, we understand that omega dot I will have species concentrations and these also will have species concentrations somehow, right. So, we will have to come back to these terms. And in the energy equation, we have the species concentrations here and we also have temperatures. We have temperatures in the HI terms. HI terms have enthalpy of formation as well as sensible enthalpy change. So, that has got temperature and we have these concentrations here. Okay. So, we have made one small change in dealing with this well starred reactor. We are not writing mole fractions now, we are writing mass fractions, but you can understand that you can convert from mole fraction to mass fraction. So, that is not a difficult thing. Now, we will have to spend some time understanding this m dot I. Okay. Now, m dot I is written as, in our case it is written as m dot into y I. Okay. Is this simple? So, we will write this and then we can use this here, but is this really straightforward? Is it like m dot should be m dot I should be equal to m dot into y I? We still have to investigate this. Now, what happens is we can think about the mass flux of the ith species and that can be this. Okay. Now, what is this V I? V I is the velocity of the ith species. Okay. So, this is mass flux of the ith species and that depends on the velocity of the ith species. And if we do sigma m dot I, then this will be summation of rho y I v I, that is summation of these terms, and that is just m dot double prime. So, what is m dot double prime? It is the mass flux of the mixture. Okay. Now, the problem is that mass flux of the mixture is actually rho times a V, where V is mass averaged or bulk velocity. Okay. If you are carefully looking at these, you will notice that we have this V I as velocity, we also have V as velocity. So, you have got multiple velocities coming into picture. So, this V is a mass average velocity for the mixture. So, mixture has a velocity, but individual species are traveling with their own velocities, which are V I. Okay, because now we are talking about a mixture. This is combustion, mixture is inescapable, and it is not like flow of water or just flow of nitrogen or something like that. We have several species moving together. So, there is a mixture average velocity, but there is also individual species velocities. So, the individual species velocities are V I. So, that will be n in number because there are n species, but there is also a mixture velocity which is V. So, if you remember your mass transfer discussion in the convective heat and mass transfer course, you probably have seen this before. Okay. So, this is a basic idea that individual species have different velocities, and if you average those velocities, if you do a mass averaging of those velocities, you will be able to get a mixture average velocity. Okay. So, this brings us to a velocity like this, which is this. So, this is V I comma diff, diff is diffusion. So, this is diffusion velocity. This is diffusion velocity of the ith species. So, what is this? This is a relative velocity between the species and the mixture average. Okay.
So why have we taken density as constant?
Density is it's not constant. It's basically it's the mixture density. Rho is the mixture density. Yeah. So, rho into yi is actually rho I, which is the density of the ith species, but rho is the mixture density. So, there is a diffusion velocity, which is a relative velocity of the species with respect to the center of mass of the mixture. Okay. And based on that, we can write this m dot I diffusion also, which is rho yi V I minus V, which is rho yi V I diffusion. So, this is I think m dot, correct. So, m dot I double prime is this. Okay. So, what do we have here? This was the definition of the diffusion velocity, which is the velocity of the ith species relative to the center of mass of the mixture, relative to the mass average velocity of the mixture, correct. And from this to this, what do? We multiply this by rho into yi. This is diffusional velocity of what? Diffusional velocity of the ith species. This is diffusion velocity of the ith species. If you multiply the diffusion velocity of the ith species by rho into yi, okay. So, what has been done is, after this, look at this. So, we have Vi diffusion, we multiplied this by rho yi, which we know is the partial density of the ith species. So, this is the partial density of the ith species multiplied by its diffusional velocity. That should give us diffusion mass flux of the ith species. I missed the double prime. Okay. That is m dot I diffusion double prime, but that is also equal to rho I into V I minus V from the definition of the diffusion velocity of the ith species. Okay. So, from all this, do we get this? This last step. Are we getting this? So, what have I done? I must have taken this rho yi v to the other side, isn't it? So, if it goes to the other side, then that will show up like this. What is m dot double prime? M dot double prime must be rho into v, okay, and then we had this yi. So, rho into v into yi is what I had taken on the left hand side, okay, of this equation. And what is rho into yi into vi? That is m dot I double prime. Okay. So, this is the whole picture. This tells you that the mass flux of the ith species has two components. It has got a diffusional component. So, this is a diffusional mass flux, plus this is a mass flux due to the bulk flow. So, what does this term signify? M dot double prime into yi. It tells you that the mixture is moving at some velocity v, which is the mixture averaged velocity. So, that is carrying the species. So, that is the bulk flow effect. So, the bulk flow effect is m dot double prime into yi. Bulk flow contribution to the mass flux of the ith species is m dot double prime into yi. Okay. So, imagine this mixture moving like this, and it has the various species in it. The mixture is moving with a mass average velocity of v. So, that is carrying those individual species. So, that makes a contribution to the mass flux of the ith species. Okay. So, this is an m dot effect, this is a bulk flow effect. So, that is m dot double prime into yi, and that is not enough, because the individual species have velocities which are not the same as the mixture averaged velocity. So, there is a deficit, there is a relative velocity that the ith species has compared to the mass averaged velocity of the mixture. So, relative to the mixture, these species have other velocities, right. So, that difference shows up in the form of a diffusional mass flux. So, the diffusional mass flux is over and above what the bulk flow is doing to the ith species. Okay. So, we do not get to see all this if we are not dealing with a mixture. So, there is a differential effect. There is an effect of different species moving with different velocities, which are not the same as the mixture average velocity. That is why you are going to see this. Okay. So, this is the bulk flow effect and this is the diffusion effect. Now, what we did just a few minutes back in the context of the well starred reactor is that we wrote m dot I is equal to m dot into yi. Okay, and then I asked, is this a simple thing to do? It is actually not a simple thing to do, because m dot I should have this bulk flow component and it should also have this diffusional component. Okay. So, what we are doing is we are saying that there is no diffusional component, because it is so well mixed and everything is so uniform, there is no diffusional component. So, that is why we are getting away by just writing m dot I as m dot into yi, and if that is the case, then going back to the species equation, this should be m dot into yi in, and this should be m dot into yi out. m dot is the same, right? M dot at the inlet and m dot at the outlet, they are the same. There is just one m dot. Huh? There is no change in m dot from inlet to outlet. So, that is the situation. So, we have all this. So, we have n species equations and we have one energy equation, and we can use all this to solve for the temperature as well as the mass fractions of various species, and that is what we are looking at. We are looking at this well-starred reactor. We want to see what are the various species concentrations and what are the various species concentrations and what is the temperature, and whatever is existing here, the same is also going out, correct. Okay, just one more point before we close this discussion on the equations for well-starred reactor. Do we need initial conditions or something here? Like last time when we were doing that constant volume reactor, we wrote some initial conditions, we wrote some conditions, right? Do we need something like that here? Okay. And are these differential equations? These are differential equations or not?
Yes, it will be not, because concentration rate is there.
Concentration rate is there. Concentration rate or concentrations? Just concentration. Just concentration. The concentrations are like this yi or inside here. Okay. So, these are in fact algebraic equations, coupled algebraic equations with non-linearities in them, because we have this exponential term with temperature and things like that. And also you may have concentrations raised to some fractional powers or some non-linearities in the concentrations also, but these are not differential equations. Okay. So, this is the whole picture, and just to give you a flavor of how these kind of solutions are done, we will refer to one problem from the book. Okay. So, this is, we are referring to Stephen Turns, 3rd edition, page 197. This is example 6.2. So, this is already worked out for you, and I do not need to actually do this in detail, but I will nevertheless just run through this quickly, so that you get a feel for what is happening. So, it says develop a simplified model of a well-starred reactor using simplified chemistry and thermodynamics, and by that he means equal and constant CPs, equal and constant CPs. Now, what is constant CP? That is just constant value, it does not depend on temperature. What is equal CP? Different species have the same CPs. Okay. That of course is not true, but then just to make things simpler, that is what he has assumed. So, equal and constant CPs, and also molecular weights. He is saying that okay, all species have the same molecular weight. Again, only justification to make things simpler. And one step global kinetics. We know that nothing happens in one step, but we also know that one step is easier to deal with. As such, our equations are always complicated in combustion. So, just one step is what we were looking at typically when doing a course like this. We are not doing multiple steps. I told you that there are hundreds of reactions. I gave you an idea of the overall 8 steps, the various things that happen when the hydrocarbon is burning, but typically most of the time we will just look at a single step reaction. So, this is one step global kinetics, and he is saying that after building this model, use the model to determine blowout characteristics of a spherical reactor. Okay. So, I will tell you what this is. Blowout characteristics of a 80 millimeter diameter reactor, and C3H8 air, this mixture is entering at 298 Kelvin. So, this is supposed to be a well starred reactor problem, and I will in fact quickly write the equations that we want to use. So, one equation is of course the species equation. The species equation, we will write a species equation for a fuel, for the fuel. So, now what we have is propane as fuel and air as oxidizer. So, first question is how many species do we have? We want to write a species equation, but how many species do we have? What is the simplest model that we can build? We can say that this is just fuel plus oxidizer giving you products. Okay, fuel plus oxidizer giving you products, that is all. So, 3 species, you cannot go less than 3 species as I told you previously. So, these are the 3 species, and if you look at our species equation, so our species equation looked like this. So, we need to say something about this omega dot I, right? And omega dot I will come from a one step model, as we know, and we are doing this one step model for combustion of propane. In this case, no, sorry, not this is not propane actually. No, in this example, this is not propane. This is ethane. So, this is C2H6, not propane. Yeah, the problem, example 6.2 does say C2H6, not C3H8, my mistake. So, for C2H6, how do we get this omega dot I for ethane? So, we will go to chapter 5, where ethane reaction rates are given. So, there is a table 5.1. If you go there, you can see that the pre-exponential factor is 1.1 into 10 to the power 12, and the activation temperature is 15098 Kelvin, M is 0.1, N is 1.65. Okay. So, what are these? A is the pre-exponential factor, and the unit of this is gram mole per centimeter cube, and this thing is to the power 1 minus m minus n per second. Okay. Per second. So, this is constant. This is the unit of A. So, A is the pre-exponential factor, and what is activation temperature? This Ta is an activation temperature. What is activation temperature? But I did mention activation temperature some time back, if you remember. So, there is activation energy that you know of. So, what is activation temperature? See, we wrote this, we have this energy factor which is this, and remember when we were doing that NO kinetics, we did a small problem. We wrote numbers like 38,000 and things like that. Okay, so now you remember what is this activation temperature? E by R. So that's that activation temperature. So this activation temperature is for ethane according to table 5.1, assuming single step reaction, that is 15098 Kelvin. What is M and what is N? These are the powers on the concentrations, fuel concentration and the oxidizer concentration. So this sort of information is available. So based on all this, with a little bit of work, you can show that Kg, the global reaction rate constant, is something like this. So how did you get the 6.19 10 to the power 9? That's because there is a conversion of units. This is gram mole per cubic centimeter to the power 1 minus m minus n and things like that. So there is some work involved here which you can check out, but this is basically units. Okay. So this is the value of Kg. Now once you have that Kg, then the species conservation equation for the fuel, for example, will look like this. For fuel, yeah, you don't have to actually write this down. This is available in the book, but I have to write this down because I am just trying to tell you what the species equation should look like. Yeah, you are asking something. After unit conversion, this Kg unit will correspond to such that this becomes, Kg into this and everything will correspond to this unit. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so as I said, I am not doing the whole exercise for you, but I am just picking up a few things and telling you, give some important aspects of this problem solving. So I am trying to give you enough clues so that you can work on this on your own. Now we know that we should get m dot in the species equation, we should get m dot into yi in minus m dot into yi out. And what is the species equation that I have just now written? That is for the fuel. So this is m dot into yf in minus yf out. So that is obvious, that will be there, correct? So that is this part. Now what about all this? So all this must be coming from this omega dot I, wi and volume. Okay. So this is, in fact, I should write it like this. So this is the volume part of it. So what does it mean? It means that omega dot I has been written in terms of Kg, which is the global reaction rate constant, and various mass fractions. Should be possible. Okay, should be possible. What is omega dot I again? Omega dot I is, like for example, omega dot f should be 1 over volume d of fuel dt from what we had done previously. Sorry, this is the number of moles of fuel. Okay. So, we wrote omega dot I as 1 over volume dNI dt in the last class. So, we are doing the same thing here. So, with little bit of work you can show this, because this is volume is constant. So, this is actually omega dot f is df dt, and this df dt can be written in terms of kg. Okay. df dt can be written in terms of kg, because the rate of change of concentration of fuel obviously will be related to the chemical model that you are assuming. Omega dot f is ddt of concentration of f. Now, ddt of concentration of f tells you the rate at which fuel is getting consumed, the rate at which the fuel concentration is changing, correct? Where will that come from? That can come from the chemical model that you have. What is the chemical model? It is a global one step reaction. So, that is what we have done. So, we have this kg here multiplied by this thing here, which gives you the omega dot I w I into volume term. Okay. So, this is not difficult, except that it looks little clumsy. Now, what must be this and what must be this? This must be coming from concentrations. Okay. You wrote down few minutes back that m is equal to 0.1 and n equal to 1.65. So, these are 2 exponents for 2 concentrations, 2 exponents for 2 concentrations. What are the concentrations of? Concentration of fuel and concentration of the oxidizer. Okay. So, that is why you got this coming from the concentration of fuel, this coming from the concentration of the oxidizer. So, that is why this 0.1 and 1.65. Okay. This part comes from the molecular weight of the mixture expressed in terms of the mass fractions of 3 species. What are the 3 species? Fuel, oxidizer and PRS products. So, this part comes from the molecular weight of the mixture, and this comes from the concentration of fuel, this comes from the concentration of oxygen. Okay. So, I am not giving you the full picture, but I am telling you I think I am giving you enough clues for you to be able to figure out that this looks reasonable for fuel. So, this is the fuel conservation, the species conservation equation for fuel. So, similarly, we can write species conservation equation for oxidizer, and we can write another equation for energy, right? And we can also write something which is very apparent, that is YF plus Y oxidizer plus Y product should be equal to 1 anywhere, isn't it? The sum of the mass fractions of the product should be equal to 1. So, this is one equation. Then we have got like this, this is a species equation for fuel. This is species equation for fuel. We will have a similar equation for oxidizer. We will have a similar equation for products. So, we got these 3 equations plus this constraint. Actually, we do not even need to write the equation for products, because we have an equation for fuel. We can write a similar equation for oxidizer, and the sum of 3 mass fractions is equal to 1. So, that will help us get the products, plus we have that energy equation. We know how to write the energy equation, we have already seen this. So, if you do all that and try to solve, and we are not doing the solving, then you can get curves like this. You can actually get let us say temperature as a function of m dot. Okay. Now, not just this, you can get the various mass fractions, let us say, as a function of m dot. What do I mean by this? What I said is that we can actually solve for temperature and all the mass fractions for a particular condition. So, that is for a particular m dot, temperature and mass fractions. If you change the mass flow rate, that is if you change m dot, you can again generate solutions, right. And if you keep doing that, then you can generate a plot for temperature as a function of m dot, correct. So, this is again multiple solutions, you are changing m dot, finding a solution, changing m dot, finding a solution. So, you generate a number of points. If you do that, you will see that okay, temperature might show some like this. So, what is this temperature? This is the temperature inside the control volume as well as at the exit. So, this is temperature as a function of m dot, and this will tell you that if you increase m dot too much, then the temperature will drastically drop. Okay. I think we are running out of time today, but let's not look at this now, fine, because we are running out of time. So, we will do that tomorrow, this part, but just keep this information in mind. You understood that we can vary m dot and get temperature, multiple solutions. So, if you summarize that, you will see that if the m dot is high, then temperature will drop, okay. Temperature will suddenly drop beyond this point. So, I want you to think about it, and then we will try to understand why this happens in the next class. Thank you.